Um, I'm live. Hello, y'all. What day is it today? I don't even have no idea. Today is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Um, I was off for the last couple of days because I was actually working on a film project. So that was good news. And that's a story for a different day, how I felt about returning back to work after not working since June in entertainment. So it had its highs and lows and it had its good points and bad points. Um, Mostly the good thing was that I just loved the people that I was with, and it kind of gave me like a renewed, joy for my work. So, I'll come back to that at another time. But today, I decided to again talk about support for single mothers and fathers. And yes, fathers, because there's a lot of single fathers out there. I know many, and I just feel like it's something that I know a lot about. And people that I know that are successful podcasters of all different sorts and different type of uh speakers and stuff like that I know, they tell me that you talk about what you know about, and what you're the most proficient in, and definitely being a mom is that. I'm very feel like I know a lot about the film industry and doing hair, but I really don't really like to talk about it because I feel there's enough people that do that. Like, I really feel like I really want to support people that I see don't have the support, and that's definitely single mothers and single fathers. um, Before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe to these channels. Again, I'm on Facebook. Kind of abandoned my Rumble a little bit, but I might revisit it another time. But YouTube, and just watch these videos. Go to my YouTube and watch the lives, because I've been doing these videos as lives now because it's so much easier and faster. I don't have to download anything. I don't have to upload anything. I say what I say, it's up there and it's done and it's gone and I don't have to look at it or revisit it ever again. So please do that. Please comment. All of those things help the algorithm, and it just gives me insight into how people feel about what I'm talking about. If they have any questions or they have any comments, I really, really appreciate it. So, let's keep moving on and get right into this, because I have 1 hour. Sometimes I go over. I'll be running my mouth too long and I'll be going over. But today I want to take my baby to the gym, and we just want to have a fun day of shopping and cooking and stuff like that. So I'm going to get this over with. What time is it? 12:38, 1:38. I hope to be done and let you guys have your day back. Okay. So first of all, when it comes to single parents, I feel like when you say a single parent, people automatically think of some young single mother that's in her 20s that's Black. And that's not really the truth. Those are just kind of almost feel like a propaganda to make it seem like, only Black people are single parents, or people don't really understand what it is to be a single parent. Because in my mind, okay, there's 24 million people, 24 million children that live with a parent that's not married. That's not to say that the other parent is not in their life. People just think automatically when they hear a single parent that the father or the mother is not a part of the life. It just means that you're not married. That is it. It doesn't even mean that you're not living together, really. It just is. These statistics are always collected in a way that is kind of weird to me, because all of the statistics that I'm going to mention basically speak about kids that are products of parents that are not married. That will constitute a single parent, because one of those parents is going to be the responsible parent for the child, being that, I mean, in the sense of like on their taxes, or who primarily is caring for this child. Even when you live together, one parent might be home and then the other parent is working, providing for both parents. So I consider that to be a single parent, in the sense that the sole responsibility of the child is on one person. It's not like they're married and jointly together caring for the kid. Or a single parent to me is somebody that has a child, and the other parent is in the child's life, but they just don't live together. Sometimes they live a few blocks away. Sometimes they live in another state. I'm specifically speaking to people that are the sole providers of their kids, with more of a focus on the ones who do not live with the child's parent. So just bear with me and stay in that realm when thinking of a single parent. And when I'm talking to you today, I am talking to you about mothers and fathers. And when I'm not, I will specifically say so. But other than that, all of these resources, all of these thoughts and ideas are geared to mothers and fathers. And shout out to my friend John Jones. This is his shirt that he gave me. He is no longer with us. Have a peaceful journey. He was a single father most of his life, a good single father. And again, so I have a lot of insight into this. And I had my son late in life. So I was one of those people that would not date men with kids. I had my son at 40, and I literally felt that way almost my whole entire life, that I didn't want to date men with kids. So I understand, you know, some of the misconceptions or some of the bias people have towards single parents. We'll talk more about dating at the end, because I know that is a major thing that single parents go through, is like finding love and finding somebody that can deal with the challenges that they are going through. And I have a lot of things that probably could help you as far as your thought processes and how you go about dating. But again, like I said, we'll get to that more at the end. But like I said, just a little backstory on me for people that don't know me. I work in the film industry much of my life. I've been a hairstylist by trade much of my life. So I have heard every relationship story since the 90s when I got my license to now, as far as, relationships and just shit people go through in their lives. And, I do have a lot of clients over the years that are single parents. A lot of parents become single parents because maybe a spouse passed away, maybe they got divorced, or maybe they just never married. It's a multitude of reasons why, some parents choose to be single parents on purpose. Like, I kind of feel like I fall into that realm because I was so quote unquote old when I had my son that I figured I'm going to have this baby regardless. I didn't necessarily choose the person that I was dealing with. I never thought that I would, get pregnant, because I didn't think I could. And, surprise, you know what I'm saying? So like, I kind of felt like I knew I wouldn't be with this person, but I accepted the full responsibility of this child because of my age. And, the person already had children, and I just felt like, this is going to be my responsibility. I'm going to take this on regardless. And thus, I'm a single parent kind of by choice, because I just felt that was the best thing for me. And we had a lot of conflicts in the relationship, and I just wanted a peaceful existence. So that's my story. But when it comes to support systems, I have to say that I had a lot of support. And some of the support I had to pay for it, like nannies and sitters and stuff like that. And other support were friends, other people with kids, be it they were married or other single parents or whatever. And I'm going to tell you how to go about creating a network and a support system for you and your child, because I really see that there's an issue here with especially more the young mothers. I can't speak for the fathers because I don't know a lot of young single fathers. I know many more older ones, and they are more secure in their careers, and then maybe they have a network because they're more mature. But as far as like young dads, I really don't know that many. So I would love for people to comment and tell me, how they, feel about this as far as dads. But I know as young mothers, I see that they just really don't have the support. And it's different today. Like, you don't have, your grandmother. My mother was a single parent, but I always had my grandparents. They were always willing to step in and give us a hand. We lived with them from time to time and stuff like that. When we wanted to go to certain schools or whatever, we could go stay with them or whatever. They lived in a good community and stuff. So like, but I notice now that a lot of these young girls do not have the support system. And I knew because I was a more mature parent that I knew I needed a support system. So I was like on a quest to find it, and I, pretty much did a lot of research and a lot of talking to people. I mean, everybody knows I talk to everybody. I don't care who it is. That's how you find out information. And it's going to take a little bit of talking to people to build this network, but it can be done. Okay. And your network can come from family, even though I do feel that family, depending on your situation and the family that you have, sometimes they're not really that helpful sometimes, you know, in the different types of support that you're going to need. At least that has been my experience. My mother just happens to live in another state, and the family that I did have around me kind of were like really not that much of a help because they had their own things going on or whatever the case may be, and they just weren't local to where I lived at, whatever scenarios that you guys have. I can say that you know some of my friends were a very good support system, and one in particular that was retired. She didn't work, and she was so much help to me when my son was young. So I would definitely say, to look for, retired people, elderly people, because I have found that a lot of elderly people are struggling to, survive. They're not working, they're on fixed incomes, and they really don't have a lot of money. And they would be more than happy to make some money if you have a well-behaved kid. Because live what I find with the elderly people, that they're not really as mobile and everything as you need them to be. They're probably, an elderly person is probably good for a much older child, maybe not like a little baby or a toddler or somebody that needs a lot of running around after, is my experience. But an older person, a lot of times they're great, because when your kids are school age and your kids come home on a school bus, they're just there to help them do their homework, give them a meal or whatever, and they can do that. So I would definitely tell you to guys look at some elderly people, because they really could use the money. They could use the company and stuff like that. Sometimes you might, let your child go to their home, depending on how safe you feel with that, or, they come to my house. I always was the person that wanted everybody to come to my house. And I have had a few retired women take care of my child. And one I'm still very close to today, and I talk to her all the time. And she would come to my house, but she wasn't really good with running around with him and taking him to the park and stuff. But she was a genius with the homework. Oh my God, I wish I could have kept her just for that. You know what I mean? But I had to find somebody that could run up and down with him and pick him up from school and stuff like that. But with school, she was amazing. So you guys keep them in mind, because they need the money a lot of the time. Also, I also got a lot of support too from my friends that were married and had kids. Because being that I had my child so late, most of my friends' kids were grown. So a lot of my friends, they were kind of almost starting on their grandchildren or whatever. And they had a little time, and sometimes they would take my son, for the day or whatever, so I could get a break, or, they might have family functions, at their homes and stuff. And I would bring my son to them and stuff like that. Like, that are already in relationships, because a lot of times I know that single parents really feel like, their married friends or their friends' relationships don't really want to be bothered with them, but you don't know that until you ask them. If they're really your friends and they see that you're struggling and they see that you need a little help or a break, they will do it. And I've had that multiple times. So do not discount your friends that are already in relationships. I had a good network from the people that watched my child. Most of the people that have watched my child. Hi, Bing Bing. How you doing? Hi, thank you. Yes. Hi, Julie. How you doing? Hey, Julie. Yeah, I'm trying to share information with people out here to try to help people and uplift them, because we are in some trying times. And I hear so many stories about people struggling. This trip down a single parent help path started because of a young mother that committed suicide because she didn't have a network and she just couldn't pull it together. So I just want people to know that it's not that bad. And just by looking at things in a different way, you can change your frequency and it'll get better for you. I guarantee it. So my sitters and nannies to me are the best network. If you're going to pay somebody to watch your kids, make sure you get somebody that is really going to be a help to you, not just in watching your kid, because I would always look for a nanny that had other kids or had grandkids. Because what happens is they'll call you and be like, "Oh, it's my granddaughter's birthday. Can Shiloh come for the weekend?" "Oh, sure. Yes, he can." "Oh, we're having this event. Oh, come for Christmas. Oh, come." I'm telling you, I feel like the child care providers I had for my son were the greatest support. Don't try not to just think of what they can do for you. Kind of think about also what you can do for them as well. I'm a hairdresser, so sometimes, I would help her with her hair. We barter back and forth and stuff like that. So think of other ways that you can help the people around you. I feel like a lot of people don't like to be bothered with single parents because they're needy all the time. You have to really think about how you can be a help to the people around you too, to make them where they see you of use too, where it's not just you using them all the time. And I will always try my best to make them very comfortable when they're in my house, and being very understanding when they couldn't come. Like some of the ladies that took care of my son, my hours are crazy, and like they would take my son home with them, and he would be there with her grandchildren and with her whole family and stuff like that. And they really became my family. I'm still in touch with most of the people that ever took care of my son. They're like family to me. So really, really, as far as building a network, you have to really think of people outside of just watching your kid. You know what I'm saying? Like you really have to look at them when you hire them. What else can they offer you besides that? What can I offer them? How can we have a more friend family relationship than just them coming here, sitting with my kid and leaving? Also, other single parents are also helpful to be a support with, because they know what you're going through. And I'm going to tell you how I met like most of the people that were in my support system. Okay. Now, how you're going to meet most of the people in your support system, and is money well spent if you can afford it. And I'm going to tell you if you can't afford it. But activities. I met most of the people in my support system outside of child care providers from taking my son to activities. So my son was in martial arts from when he was young. I put him in a STEM class. They were amazing support academically because they do STEM and stuff like that. So they were telling me all kinds of stuff to do to help him to focus better and stuff like that. And I could call and ask them questions about school and whatnot. If you can't afford to pay to put your child in an activity, then you should join like neighborhood community centers. Those are not really expensive and sometimes free. Put your kid on a community team. Like you make them do it, whether they like it or not, or they're interested in it, you make them do it because it doesn't hurt. It gives them something to do, and you get to meet all of the parents in the neighborhood. And even when you work and stuff like that, they make a network for you where a parent could come and get your child and bring them home. You meet people in the neighborhood and they invite you to things. Me and Shiloh have been invited to so many parties and events and cool things that I can't even tell you, just by being in activities. And it keeps your child from being idle, and they really learn how to fellowship. They get exercise, it gets them out the house, and they make friends. And that's the one thing with a single parent. You don't have family. A lot of times you don't have cousins for them to play with. At least I didn't. So all of my son's friends, basically, even to this day, he got them from being in activities, because being that he would go to school outside of the school zone, he didn't have anybody in the neighborhood. So it's like either your kids are going to sit in the house all the time, or you're going to join activities to get them out and make friends. And that's how that's the best way to build a network to me, is those activities. Because between the people that's sponsoring the activities and all of the parents that are in there at the activity, while you're sitting there waiting for an hour or two while your kids, playing football, don't just sit there and be on your phone. Go around and talk to the parents that are there. And that's how you build the network. What else? Again, community things. Like I always go to like all kinds of community activities. Like if they have, a health fair or any free thing in the neighborhood, we always go to it, because one thing I know is going to probably be some free food and candy and free information. So that's a way that you meet people and build a network. You can't just be sitting in your house with your kid and thinking that you're going to get any support. You're going to have to go out and get it. You're going to have to go out and search for it and look for it and talk to a lot of people. Come out your shell and be vibrant and talk to people. And, I've really met some amazing people and people that really had my back and helped me when, you know, I didn't have any help. I had so many people, like my son always had a transportation. I had so many people was like, I'll take them to school for you for a week or whatever till you find somebody. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying about having the network. You need to talk to a lot of people in order to build a network. Just like networking for business, it's the same thing. Networking for you and your child, it's the same thing. What else do I have? Neighbors. Now, today, it's like a lot of people don't know their neighbors. And, it's a double-edged sword sometimes because maybe you don't want your neighbors in your business or whatever, or let you don't want them to know your kid is home or whatever. But if you have a neighbor that you think you can trust, let them know, give them your house key so that they can check on the child, or let them, have a relationship with the people is least in your building if you can, or at least people that you can trust. I know people are like not trusting, but I just tend to have discernment, and you guys can work on discernment because you're going to need that in order to pick the right people for your child. Because I know a lot of people are scared because they're worried about somebody hurting their child, but you have to really have discernment because you can't do it alone. And that's when you start feeling desperate. You start feeling hopeless because you can't do everything alone. It's impossible. It's impossible to work, spend time with your child, and think about all of these things you need to think about without any break or without any help. I was always lucky that the places that I lived in, I always lived in a private rental, and I always rented from people that I felt through discernment would be good for me in Shiloh. And when I tell you, the landlords that I have lived with have been amazing, as far as being helpful to Shiloh and I. So I really feel like if you have young kids, I wouldn't rent from a management company or some big complex or somewhere like that, because it's not, it's very cold. Whereas if you rent from a private owner that's kind, they will work with you and your child. You know what I'm saying? And they, I was lucky that I was not terribly late with my rent and stuff like that. But when I was, they understood, because most of the time I paid my shit on time. And when I did have issues, I just was lucky that I had picked very kind people to live with. Now I live in a complex and they don't play. You 6 days with your rent, they sending your ass for eviction. So if you're a single parent, do not rent somewhere like that because you have issues and you don't want to be under that pressure. A private owner, they'll work with you a little bit, and I find that they're a little bit more understanding. And the first place I lived with that guy for 7 years, the second place I lived with them for like 3 years, and I left the state. And the people both times were lovely, and shout out to them, because I don't know how I would have survived without them in the network, because they just had a lot of love for Shiloh and I. So it goes back to discernment and choosing where you're going to live at. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that, just for me, the smaller living situation you have, and you just live with you and your landlord, or maybe a couple people in the building, maybe 3 or 4 families, that's enough, because you can keep an eye on them. You can get to know them better. I talk to my neighbors all the time. I know all who's doing what. And most, like in one place I live, it was one lady I didn't fuck with, but the rest of the people in the building was lovely, and they will always keep their eye out for Shiloh and stuff like that. And they tell you what's going on and stuff like that, So they're an important part of the network. Get to know your neighbors. What else do I have on here? Okay. So people always focus on the negativity, and I'm just a person that always thinks about the good in everything, to my detriment sometimes, because I'm the devil's advocate a lot of times because I want things to come out right. So I'm always kind of thinking about what could go wrong, but I don't focus on that. I really focus on what went right. You know what I'm saying? I don't really focus on the bad. So I had to go out my way to figure out What are the good things about being a single parent so you can focus on that instead of focusing on what is wrong all the time? If you focus on these good points, I'm telling you, it'll help you balance yourself out. Okay, the first thing is the reason why it's good to be a single parent is because your child gets your undivided attention. Now, I find in relationships, when you have kids, it's always a problem, especially with me, because I really love my child and I like to be with my child. There's really no other person on this earth that I would rather be with over my son. You know what I mean? I don't. And it causes problems in relationships sometimes, even with his father. When I had my son, his father thought that it was like, bad how much attention I gave to the baby. I made the baby sleep in the bed with me because it was just more convenient for me as a breastfeeding mother. And he grew a little resentful. And I find this happens with a lot of relationships when you have kids, that a lot of the times one of the parents, mostly the mother, becomes very attached to the child. And, the kids take a lot of your attention. And then sometimes you don't really give your partner the attention that they deserve, and it causes conflicts in the relationship. So when you're a single parent, you don't have to worry about that. You can do what you got to do for your kids. You ain't got to explain to nobody, and you do you. I love that about that, because I got custody over my son, because I don't have to argue with his father when I want to take him out of the country. I can do what I want to do with my son, and it's like peace of mind, because I feel like his father was always arguing with me. Anything I wanted to do with him, if I wanted to take him on a cruise, he didn't want him to go. If I'm working on a project and one of the nannies wanted to take Shiloh on vacation, I'm like, sure, you've been watching him and having him for years. I trust you and the family, take him. He didn't want him to go. So we were constantly always fighting all the time. So it was just like a load off my fucking shoulders to just have custody and do what the fuck I wanted to do for my child. And it's been blissful ever since. That may not be for everybody. If you have a great relationship with your partner, good for you, but it wasn't like that for me. Again, that leads into fewer arguments. When you are a single parent, you don't have no arguments with nobody. You do what you want to do for your child. You do what you want to do for yourself. You don't have nobody that you have to consider in anything. And it's amazing. I love it for that reason. And if I was to ever be with somebody, they would have to allow me to keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, my son is big now. So now my son's not as needy anymore. This is more for people with young kids. Because once your kids get big, they don't really want to be with you all the time anyway. And now you have time to do other things. They're big enough to stay at home by themselves. You can kind of live your life now. They're getting big. I'm just make sure I'm there for him to monitor his homework and, spend time with him and give him his hugs every day and stuff like that, but other than that, he's pretty self-sufficient at this point. And when you're a single parent, you are your child's pretty much only role model. You know what I mean? Unless you build a network where they have other role models. I build a network for my son, but I know that I am his main role model. So I have to kind of be on point and show him the way. I don't have to like debate with his father over what values I want to instill in him and stuff like that. I would have loved to have somebody with me that we could agree, but it just didn't work out like that for me. We kind of debated over everything, and we were just, you think you get along with somebody good until you have kids and you realize that, oh my God, we're like light years apart. We think nothing the same. We don't even want nothing the same for this child. Like, how the hell is this going to work? Okay. And then also the main thing that is a good thing about a single parent is that your child becomes very self-sufficient and they have a lot more responsibilities. And I do feel like, as much as they blame single mothers for all the problems on earth, I do feel that children that are from single parents are more responsible. They are stronger to me as far as like surviving in the world. They know how to survive. And one thing my mother did for me that I thought was the best thing that she could have ever did is that my mother showed me a budget. She taught me how to budget. My mother was like, it's not that I don't want to buy you that, but look right here. She would show me on the paper how much money she made, how much her bills were, everything. And then she would show me what she would have left in the end. And it was clear as day after that. And we didn't really harass her because we saw how it broke down. And I always was a person of budget ever since then, because I saw it. I saw when my mom took out money for education. I mean, education, but I saw when my mom took out money for entertaining us. Every month she would always put money into the entertainment budget. It's very important to entertain your kids and just put money to the side to have fun. One of my friends' fathers, actually my ex-boyfriend, his father, he was a single dad because the mother was still in Jamaica or whatever. And he always said, pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. Your bills and everything are always going to be there. Pay yourself first so that you can enjoy your life. And I do try to keep that in mind. And I always try to keep in the budget to have money to do things that we enjoy. Be it, if we even just to have gas to take a ride and, play the music or whatever, and just ride around and burn out gas, anything that y'all enjoy, put that in the budget to spend time together and just doing something fun. My son likes to go to the to the bin stores and look for toys, and he finds some cool stuff in there. And like between $10 and less, you find a great toy. To a kid, that's exciting for them. You know what I mean? Like he likes it. So it doesn't have to be something so expensive. It's more just spending the time. And a couple bucks. We go to the mall and buy gumballs out of out of the gumball machine. Change is something people hardly ever have. I always keep change and we go buy gumballs. We think that's fun and eat candy out the gumball machine. Stuff like that. And just walking through the mall instead of, spending $15 buying drinks and snacks and stuff. We walk around and buy candy out the machines. So it could just be as simple as that. People overthink things, and kids don't really need all of that. Adults think like that. Kids don't think like that. They're just happy to be with you. Other good things about being a single parent is that I also find too that being a single parent, I do have a more sense of a community where people that are married and people that are with a partner, they don't. It's just them, their partner, and their kid. Me now, I have a whole big group of people that I can call on for different things because I just have built a community and a network for me and my son. What else is on here? And this was important too, that in a single parent household, there's no gender specific roles. Like, in a family where it might be a man and a woman, the mother might always cook, and the mother might always do the laundry, or the father might be the person to do the work around the house and handy and work in the garage or whatever. In a single parent household, there is none of that. We do it all together, and you're going to help. And the older that he got, the more that he was helpful to me, and he enjoys being helpful to me. You know what I mean? And I always include him in stuff that I'm doing. Like even when he was a little baby, I will always include him in cleaning up. Let's clean up and let's organize our things. And he's always being taught to be helpful, not just sitting around and I'm just caring for him because I'm the mother and I'm at home and I just do everything for this kid and I don't really make him, work for anything. So those are the good things about being a single parent. Let me just make sure there's nothing else that I forgot. And I also do feel that the parent that has the child at home with them, I feel like they will have a closer relationship if you're good to your kid. If you're not good to your kid and then they go home to their father or whatever, and the father's buying them gifts and doing everything, then maybe it might not be close. But I feel like if you make the most of the time with your child, and me and my son spend a lot of time talking and participating in things that he enjoys doing. I asked him, what do you want to do? What project you want to make? I let him pretty much do the things that he enjoys, and we have a good time. We have fun, and I learn a lot about him, and he knows that, I support him in anything, and I'm rooting for him all the time and stuff. So I just feel like when you're a single parent, you can be very close with your child because you're with them all the time. Now, if you're with them all the time and you're not really spending time with them, or whenever they see you, you're arguing with them over homework, or you're arguing with them over the room's not clean. I try to make it where we're having joyful times most of the time. And I always think of it as like creating good memories for him. So, those are the things that I enjoy about being a single parent. So let me see what else I got on here that I want to talk about. Okay, now, in an effort to keep everything positive, you know what I'm saying? I said what I said just now about the good things about being a single parent. And I'm sure that you guys may have other things that may, be good to you as far as being a single parent. But those are the ones for me. And those are generally in my research, the ones that I found that everybody kind of says about being a single parent or what they like about it. Now, the disadvantage of being a single parent that I find for me, some of these situations have happened to me and some have not. So less money is always an issue for single parents. I have to say, by the grace of God, I had my son so late in life that money to care for him really wasn't the issue. Because I was very secure in my career. Whereas when you have your kid in your 20s, you're not secure in your career and you're trying to build your career. I don't really see how people do that. They do it, but I just feel like it's very difficult to come up in a career when you have a little child that needs you so much. You know what I mean? I was just very lucky that I was very secure financially before I had my son. Um, so finances, but that's not to say finances weren't still a freaking problem. I mean, I made good money, but all my money was spent on nannies. They could cost me a couple $1,000s a month. If you have a nanny coming to your house, you got to pay for her taxi, you got to pay for food. They're there all day while the kid goes to school. You're running the air conditioner. My bills were off the hook. And even though I made good money, it didn't add up because most of my money was going to the child care for my son. So trust me, finances was still an issue. A lot of people I see, they have trouble budgeting. They really have trouble budgeting because I feel like, and I could be wrong, but this is my observation. A lot of the mothers, they are always on this quest to find help or, get a man to take care of them. They, on this wishing on a star Disney thing that there's going to be somebody to come and rescue them. And it's probably not. I'm a person, I don't really spend a lot of money on clothes and stuff like that. Even for my son, I kind of raised him not to fall for that. Um, and I don't really like to waste my money. I'm a Capricorn. I'm not gonna say I'm cheap. I'm very frugal, and I will spend for what I like that I feel is necessary and worth it. But I just never really spent my time and money glamorizing and weaving and nails and all. I feel like a lot of the money girls waste doing all that, they could be building their network or they could be hiring somebody to come and help them with their kids so they could get a break so they don't have these mental breakdowns. I always see these young girls out here with nails and a wig and a weave and clothes. And I'm like, how the hell can they afford it? Because I sure can't afford it. And I think I probably make more than them. So I just feel like a lot of people, their priorities are not in place. One thing that's important that I just have to say this because I did not want to forget to talk about this is as a single parent, one of the disadvantages I see across the board, I see it not even with single parents, with people that have with kids that have both of their parents, even some people that's married, is life insurance. How can you say you don't give a shit about your kid and it's just you and your child and you have no will and you have no life insurance? You can make a will on LegalZoom. Don't get your weave done this month. Go on LegalZoom for the $300 and make a will for your child. Make sure that you put in there who's going to care for them, who's going to have power of attorney for you when you die and all that shit. I have all of that for my son. And if something happens to me tomorrow, I could die peacefully knowing that he'll be taken care of. Now, I have life insurance for my son. I have a pretty good policy. I have term and whole life policy for my son. It costs me about $200 a month. Now, how I pay for this, you want to have life insurance that you don't let lapse because God forbid, if you die, your child won't have anything. And then you'll have some disgruntled person caring for your child that can't really care for them. And that makes people resentful. So how I paid for my life insurance is that I got a Social Security benefit for my son's father that was like nothing. It was like $400 a month, which averages out to $100 a week, which is really nothing in the grand scheme of taking care of a child, especially like what I was doing. So that money, I put it in a bank account and I made an automatic debit every month to that bank account to pay for the life insurance policy. That way, no matter how broke I get, no matter what happens, that life insurance gets paid no matter what. So I know some of you guys out there get child support or whatever, you know, and it's not a lot of money, and say it might even be $100 you might get a month. I know people who get $25 a week in child support because that's how, the motherfucker broke and that's what the courts order you or whatever. I would definitely say just take that little bit of money. It's not going to make or break your situation, and attach your life insurance to that. Get a policy that fits in with that money that you have and put it in to let it automatically debit from that account. Make sure you get your will done. Make sure you have life insurance for your child, because if something happens to you, people, single parents always talk about, oh, I'm all they got. Well, motherfucker, what's going to happen if your ass is dead? And then what's going to happen? Some family member that you probably don't want to have your child will get your child, and you don't even have no money for them to take care of your child. And then, it's just a mess. I actually have somebody, a power attorney of my situation, that is not a family member. I have specific instructions for my family in there, but this person will be in charge of the money, because I just know that this person is probably going to be better with the money and would be would really follow my decisions. And I would never want my family's financial situation to burn out the life insurance money that I have for my son. You know what I mean? So like you put a family member in charge of the money, and they figure like, oh, well, I need a new car, or oh, I need, you know what I'm saying? And they might really need it. They might really be behind in their bills, whatever, and they might need, but I would rather have an executor to budget that money out for them, so that they're just not even, tempted to waste the money, my death benefit for him. So you guys really look at that. I have Allstate, but Allstate life insurance changed over to someone else. If you guys would like to get life insurance, you can inbox me and I can hook you up with a great lady that did mine. And I'm very happy with her. She's super sweet. And she's just been managing the policy. I've had it since before Shellie was born. And then I used to put my cousin's kids on it. And then once I had my own child, I put my son on it. So I just feel like that is something very important that you need to have, because if something happens to you, what is your kid going to do? You're going to have these random people taking care of your child that are going to be resentful because you left them with nothing, and God forbid, if your child is like high school age or in college or something like that, you might be able to teach them how to manage the money too. In my will, it says that if my son is able bodied to manage his money, he can do that. And if he wants to take money to open a business, he can do that. Like the person that you have in charge of the money, you have to trust that they're going to follow your wishes. Okay, I don't want to get too much off of a tangent on life insurance, but that was just in my notes, and I don't want y'all to forget. So if you have any money, child support coming to you monthly or whatever, please put your life insurance on that and just leave it there and don't let it lapse. It's more important than car insurance or anything, because if you die in a car accident, that car insurance is not going to pay for your kid. You know what I'm saying? So really think about that. That's very important. Okay, so moving on. Another disadvantage in being a single parent is not having as much time to spend with yourself. You don't have a lot of time to date. You don't have a lot of time to do the things you want to do. But hey, you're a parent. You're not supposed to. Your child is supposed to be top priority. Find joy in doing things with your child. That's what I would suggest for you to do with that. The time that you do have left, raise your child with it. And I guarantee you're going to feel better. Stop worrying about, what you're not getting. Think about what you are getting in the time you spend with your child. Them men out there, they always going to be there. And if somebody that you're with don't understand the time you spend with your child, then you don't need to be with them. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. You know what I mean? If you don't like it, spend time with both of us or go spend time with somebody else, because I really don't give a fuck, because my child comes first. That's just how I think. So that's probably why I'm still single, because I think like that. You know what I mean? Now, I did date a guy that had a child, and like we did stuff together all the time with our kids, and I loved him for that, but I just didn't really like him for me. But I did feel like it was just a good situation for me and my child. So that's what I'm saying about networks. Sometimes it can't just be about you all the time. That's why it's making you so depressed, because you're being so fucking selfish. Okay, the work overload and multitasking. I know a lot of people are not good at multitasking, but all of this goes with raising your frequency. You know, I see it all the time and I can't stand it. You go in girl's house and the shit is clean. Shit is not clean. They got dishes everywhere. You gotta manage your time. You gotta manage your time. I don't care how tired I am. Either I clean up before I go to bed or I do it when I wake up. That's going to give you depression energy. You know what I mean? Like to have like dirt and dust around you, and the kids are not organized, and they're not clean, and they're not, you know what I mean? It's tiring, but you're a parent. You signed up for this. You know what I mean? You can't just fall apart and just, lay down and die because things are not going the way you think they should be. You have to think about the child first. You do. If you don't, you might not want to hear this. You understand? But if you do that, you're going to raise your frequency, and you very well may meet better people to come into your life. As long as you're down here doing the least, that is what you're going to receive, is the least. I'll tell you right now, I love my network of people around me. I have so many great people. I had got so many role models for my son and everything, because I try to keep my frequency positive and up here. I don't try to stay in a depression state and, oh, I don't got this, and oh, this person got that, and oh, this one. I get out. I'm out and about. And I constantly try to keep my frequency like high energy. I constantly try to keep myself up here and keep climbing and keep climbing. I'm not trying to be stuck in no feeling sorry for me, right? That doesn't work for you or your child. Behavior problem. Now, I see this is an issue, discipline and behavior problems, because if you have a kid that's a behavior problem and annoying, you probably will have a hard time building your support system, because nobody wants to watch some bad bodies, bad hard-headed ass kids. Nobody wants to watch take kids that are behavior problem. No man is going to come into your life if you have some disrespectful hood rat type of kid. So I would suggest, if you want to find love and you want to raise your frequency, spend the time with your kids, because that avoids those problems, that avoids those behavior problems. If you're present in your kids' lives and you spend the time and you stop making excuses and feeling sorry for yourself and putting your effort into your kids, I guarantee you're going to raise your frequency for you and your kid, where you will not have a child that nobody wants to be bothered with. Because a lot of you ain't being realistic. Your kids are annoying. And nobody's going to want to be with you and your kids. Your frequency's low. You don't like to clean. All you want to talk about is getting your nails done and getting a weave and what clothes you could buy and where you going to go out to eat. Your ass don't know how to cook. And then you got these badass kids that watch YouTube all day and they're annoying. You're going to get no fucking where, girl. Men too. The same thing. All of this applies to men too. It applies to the men too. But I just feel like the mothers get a more of a bad rap with it. And I don't, like I said, I can't really speak so much to single fathers because I don't know that many. And like I said, my friend John passed away. I wish he was alive because I really loved his insight on this. But I do feel that the women, that's the issue. You understand? I have family members, I go in their house and it's like a fucking, what do you call it? Haunted castle. It's dark in there, no sunlight's coming through. You got a pile of dishes and shit, everything dirty and falling apart. No, that is low vibration frequency. Why do you think anybody wants to come with you that's better, like what you're looking for, Prince Charming, in a fucking hellhole like that? With some crazy ass baby's kids running around that don't listen. No, you have to be honest with yourself and work on these things, My son's very polite. You know what I'm saying? I talk to my son a lot. We read a lot. And I talk to him very clearly about why it isn't important to behave in a certain way and to talk to people in a certain way and be polite. And he sees how it works positively. And if you don't do it from when they're young, you're not going to be able to train them once they're already big and kind of rooted in a personality. You got to start that at a young age of making sure that they act right and treat people with respect and stuff like that. Relationship problems are always an issue. I just told you what some of my relationship problems are, is that I've dated men that they feel that, especially if they don't have kids, they feel like, they don't understand why they're not of a priority to me over my son. I've dated men who have kids and they just haters to my son. What I'm saying? The way that I treat him or the stuff I do with him and stuff like that. I've had them be haters because I will go on a trip with my son and leave your ass right here. It's about me and my son. If you want to do something with me, my son is coming. You know what I'm saying? Now my son is getting bigger now. But I'm saying when he was young, I had to make the commitment to my child. You know what I'm saying? That was just what it was. You know what I'm saying? I never had nobody come into my life at that time when he was small that wasn't expecting me to commit to them over the child. They just really wanted to monopolize my time and stuff like that. And then like I would be tired. I work and spend time with my son. Then they want to come and think that I'm supposed to give them what little bit left I have of me. No, this is my time for me still now. So I had to really realize that I'm not dateable right now. I have friends and what, don't get me wrong. I have little friends or whatever here and there, but I had to realize that I couldn't really commit fully to somebody like that. But now, like I said, my son is big and now that's different. But you have to be realistic with yourself, because a lot of girls, I feel like they are expecting the most out of a man when they have the least to offer. You make hardly any money. You spend what money you do get on weaves and fingernails and trying to look cute or whatever. And your kids are annoying and bad and they don't listen, and your house is dirty and you don't cook. And who the fuck wants to be with somebody like that? I know I wouldn't want to be with somebody like that. Before I had my son, I didn't want to date men that had kids, because I was like the men I'm talking about. I was selfish and I wanted somebody to spend time with me when I wanted to spend time with me. I don't want to hear that you got to do something with your daughter. I'll go be with somebody that don't have that problem. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So I understand that, and it's real shit. And women are delusional to think that men that don't have kids or men that are up here on their frequency want to be on the bottom with you somewhere with your badass kids. Like, you have to be realistic, and you might get better if you find a man. I'm going to sound like Kevin Samuels, but if you find a man that's on your level, then you won't be so depressed because you're trying to be way out here when really you're way down here and you need work before you can attract somebody like what you think you deserve. It's more about being based in reality, in my opinion. So this is why a lot of people don't want to date single parents, because you do come with a lot of baggage, and you have to either accept that it is what it is, and take care of your kids, or it just doesn't work to me. I just feel like it just doesn't work. It doesn't really work out in my life. Another problem that I see that single parents have is really clinging to their children and thinking that, nobody else can watch them. They have to just be there for them. And, they're very afraid parents and stuff like that. I would suggest you teach your children about agendas that are against them or things that can happen to them to hurt them, and teach them how to fight and let them go, and have discernment about the people you put around your kids, but also give your kids the weapons of warfare and let your kids know how to defend themselves. And I guarantee you a lot of that fear and clinginess will go away. Now, I'm a mother, of a son. So a lot of y'all ain't gonna like what I have to say, but this is real shit. I would never tell my son to go be with a single mother or a divorcee unless she already knows how to take care of her kids without him. He would be like an asset, not somebody that she think is going to come and be their father and take on all the responsibility and do. I would never suggest that for my son. So why would anybody think that somebody they're going to find somebody like that, because I'm sure their mother is telling them the same fucking thing. I wouldn't do that. And single dads that are thirsty. I've met guys like this too. You're thirsty for, somebody to be a mother to your kid. I had this guy, I did his daughter's hair one time, and then after that, every damn time she would bring her, he wanted me to do her hair. The mother wouldn't even do her hair anymore. I said, hold the fuck up. She got a mother. Her mother better do her damn hair. I had to stop really doing stuff for her because I felt like they were really taking advantage. Nobody wants that shit. You know what I mean? That's why I say your commitment is to your kids first. And then when it's not, your partner is going to see that and they're going to be resentful and they're going to go off and be with somebody that doesn't act like that. Let me see what else. And what I would say too, that I feel like a lot of single mothers, and you see them on Instagram all the time, I want a man that's not, he can't take me here, he can't do this, he can't. Y'all broke bitches. If you was all that, you wouldn't even care about where a man take you to. You take your own motherfucking self to dinner. I eat out by myself all the time. You know what I mean? I can afford to do whatever I want to do. I'm not really looking for nobody to do that for me. I'm just looking for somebody to share in doing good stuff for each other. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking at nobody to come in here and, reinvent the wheel and do everything for me and my son. I already did that. I already do that. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of girls and guys are thirsty as hell. A lot of guys come around, they see guys. I'm talking about guys with kids. They see that you're doing well and you got it together, and they think you're going to be a mother to their kid and you're going to, bring them in on what you're doing. No, you do that. You have a child and you have a mother for your child. I'm a mother. I take care of my child. Now we're going to come together. You know what I'm saying? And maybe we can improve upon this situation, but I'm not trying to, be the mother to this child. That child has a mother. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's just nobody wants to step into that. Nobody wants all that pressure and responsibility on them for kids that are not theirs. That's what I'm saying. But if you could just be based in reality, I feel like you would do much better. So I'm running out of time here, and I know I'm going to go over. I always do it every time, but these are a couple of resources that I found that were helpful to me for single parents and stuff like that. Now, these are some federal programs, Head Start. This is for small kids. These are all programs that I've done and I've had them. Ain't no shame in my game. And I don't know if people care about getting assistance from the government, because they sure don't care about taking money from your ass for taxes. And anything that the government has, I want it because I'm entitled to it. They eat me alive in taxes, even though I'm a single parent, because I'm in a certain tax bracket. So fuck them. I apply for every freaking thing that I'm entitled to. But Head Start is for birth to age 5, and they help you with childcare, education, and stuff like that. Gets them ready for school and things like that. I will, just like with anything, anytime you're in a program like that, I would just say be very connected to the program. Don't just throw your kids in there. I talk to everybody and I'll let them know, no, I'm paying attention and I want to know what the hell my kid is learning here, what's going on here. I pop up all the time and shit like that. But these resources can be good. I've had WIC, I've had SNAP food stamps and all of that. The emergency rental assistance program is great. If you owe rent arrears, they will pay it for you. If you're working and you can't really make your rent and stuff like that, the emergency rental assistance program is wonderful. 211, you could call 211. They will tell you all of the programs that they will ask you questions about your financial situation and stuff like that. And they will tell you all of the programs that are available to you in your city, 211. Then I learned about the Single Parent Project. Any of those support groups are great. The Single Parent Project does have grants a little bit, but I didn't really look carefully. But the Single Parent Project, all kind of projects like that, support groups, any of those things are great for building a network. A lot of times those organizations, you can connect with people locally in your area. I did even see that there's a single parent dating site. So all those things like that are good to help you build, a network and a community for yourself. Let me see what else. Oh, another way to build a community and get a lot of resources is at your child's school. Now, I know most of you don't know what the hell is going on at your child's school. When I dropped my son off for school last year, a parent was even said to me, "I have never seen inside the school." I said, "You mean to tell me that you're about to drop your kid off here and you've never seen this school and you're not even going to go see it right now?" Like, I just couldn't believe that. I am so involved at my son's school. They'd be like, "Oh God, here she comes. Oh Lord, here come Miss Vivian's. Here she comes. Okay, I knew she was gonna come up here. Like they know me from the door because I'm always at that school. Like they know me. When I buzz the door, they know it's me. Like they know my face up in there. But at your child's school, the school psychologist is good because they have a lot of resources that they can help your child with. Like I got my son free computers. I got my son free stuff on added to his computer to help it spell better and work better. And I just, when I tell you I've gotten my son so much services and free stuff at school, a lot of people tell you not to get an IEP for your child. I disagree strongly. Now, I would say don't get an IEP for your child if you're a lazy ass parent and you're not going to work with the team and do what you got to do for your child, because the main reason why I got my son an IEP was because I felt like he was behind. I felt like he doesn't learn in a large class setting of 30 fucking kids. And the only way to get him in a smaller class size was to get the IEP. That was the best thing I ever did, because being that I'm on their ass watching them, they don't tell me what they're going to do for him. I tell them what I want for him. You know what I'm saying? And I make sure that they get it done. So I would definitely say those things are very helpful for you. And when I tell you I've gotten all kind of homework help for him and tutors and all kind of assistance just by having that IEP, and the good thing about having an IEP, if your child is in a school that you don't like and you feel it don't function well for your child's educational needs, because you have that, you will have the right to pick the proper school, and your school district has to pay for them to go to that school, even if it's outside of the district. So it has a lot of resources for your kids. But I'm with Dr. Umar when he says, a lot of Black parents throw their kids in these programs and they just leave them there to rot, and they don't make sure that the child gets the services that they need. They don't know how to navigate the program. They don't have no records of what's happening. And then it's bad for the kids because it's like a pipeline that they're getting pushed through. Those IEP programs, kids that are deaf, kids that have all kinds of different issues, kids that are in wheelchairs, it don't have to be just people that have what do you call it, educational delays and stuff like that. It could be kids that have anxiety, different things at school. Like I said, I wanted my son to be in a very small class. He's never in a class with more than like 12 kids. It's fucking fabulous. You know what I'm saying? And he does well like that. You know what I mean? People have a misconception of the IEP because you have these dumbass parents that put their kids are struggling. Mainly the reason why they're struggling is because you don't work with them and you don't make sure they're doing their homework. You don't read with them every day, and that's why they're struggling. You know what I mean? And they just leave them in there to rot, and the kids are not really learning anything, and they're not improving, and they're not utilizing all of the sources. Me personally, I feel like those IEP programs, that's just how school should be set up, period. You shouldn't have to go through all of that to get your kid in the right learning environment that they need to learn. Because I find that not many kids can learn in an environment with 30 ass kids, especially when they're little. It was anxiety for my son to be in a class like that. It was anxiety for me because I would come into class, just me, just popping up at the school, coming to class, and it's like chaotic. The teacher had tattoos or like demons on her arms and shit. My son was like, "Mom, tattoos are scary." This shit is crazy, like how they run these schools. And like the parents are not involved, and you wonder why your kids don't learn because they're being traumatized all day and indoctrinated all day. So of course, school is a bad place for them. But they might not do that to your kid if they know the parent is crazy and they know the parent is always watching and stuff like that. I just had a different school experience, and I feel like I have a pretty decent relationship with the people at the school. The guidance counselors are great in helping you navigate for your kids and getting the stuff that they need in school and making sure that they can tell you outside things. It was one of those counselors or whatever that told me about the STEM classes for my son, and my son had been in the STEM classes for years until the pandemic. So they have great insight. You got to go to the school and talk to them. That is the greatest support system for your kids is at school, because they're there all the fucking time. I don't see how parents don't know what's going on at their kids' school. I don't understand that shit at all. All right, so I'm gonna move on because I want to talk about dating, because this is so important. And I had a lot of notes, but I'm going to just run through this really quick. But the main number one is, don't assume single parent is looking for a mother or father for their kids, because that never was me. And I feel like there are a lot of women that are like that. There are a lot of men that are like that. I've encountered people like that. But all in all, I don't feel that is the case. Most people that are single parents are really looking for, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people say, oh, you got to love me. You in order to love me, you got to love my kid. Oh, you know what I'm saying? No. If you respecting and loving me, that's going to transfer to my kid. It's like, why put all that pressure on the person? Because really what you need is somebody to love you, somebody to support you, somebody to be there for you, and somebody to give positive energy to you, somebody to help you raise your frequency. Think about yourself when it comes to the relationship, and stop trying to put so much of a burden on the person you're bringing onto your life, because they're just going to feel like, I can't handle this, and they're just going to leave. I know I would. If somebody put all that pressure on me, like I said, I had my child at 40. When I would meet Lynn like that, I would be out the fucking door. um, be a support for the parent first. So that's just what I was saying. You know, when you're dating somebody like that, you know, say, what can I do to help you? What do you, I feel like a lot of mothers, single mothers, they date a man and they put a lot of pressure on him, of what they expect him to do for the kids. You know what I mean? But you need to learn how to take care of your kids, and then you will find a person that is going to love you. Okay, we froze up again. This happens to me all the time. So let me see if I can get this to come back on. I usually can. Hold on, bear with me. I want to read you this dating things. And if I can't, I will come back separately with the live about dating. Let's just see if this can go. Bear with me for a second. Bear with me for a second. This froze up. Let me see. I can't even get it to stop. So I might have to force quit this because I have somewhere to go anyway. And maybe I'll just come back later, you guys, with one that's about dating. Let me see if I can. So I'm back on here. That shit pissed me the fuck off. I don't know why it does that. I don't know if it's because maybe Facebook can only run for an hour. I'm not really sure if that's why. I have no idea why it does that. It's froze up from before an hour, but I just want to finish this really quick. And I might still come back with a dating one. Hopefully anybody that's still listening. Um, oh yeah, Julie, I see what you said about the insurance tips. Yes, it's important. Um, so real quick, let me just get through this real quick. So I was talking about not making demands straight off the back about the people you're dating, whether they're male or female, and you're a single parent, because nobody really wants to be a mother or father to your child. They really like you and they want to be there for you, and just let it go for that at the moment. Start there, before you start pressuring them, to take on all these responsibilities with your kids. Just enjoy yourself and be with somebody and have fun with them and stuff like that, and just leave it at that. What else do I have on here? And again, like I said before, as a mother of a son, I wouldn't want him to take on another man's kids unless the woman was very worthy. So again, you guys are out here thinking that you're going to get, like Kevin Samuel says, a high value man when you're of no value. You know what I mean? So like, you really need to try to raise your frequency and raise your value and like what you can bring to a man. A lot of you guys can't even cook. You can't even cook them a meal for all that you're asking to do for you and your kids. What do you bring? That's why I say, in order to really make it, you have to really try to raise your own frequency. You got to start with you first, then it transfers to your kids, and then it transfers everywhere else. Because I know that I would never pick a man that I feel that his kids are not a priority. But then at the same time, I'm not a priority, but I respect you for your kids being a priority. And maybe down the line, I will talk to you another time or whatever, because when I didn't have kids, when I didn't have a child, I did not want to be a part of that, because I feel like you need to be with your kids. You know what I'm saying? And you have a child's mother you're dealing with and all that. I don't want to be in the mix of all them vibes. You know what I'm saying? I'm enjoying my life being child free, So I understand, why a lot of people don't want to be bothered. And then you guys don't really have a lot to offer. Let me see. Again, balancing your life first before you think you're going to get a mate. You have to try to get your shit in order for somebody to want to come and jump in with what you got. If your shit is all in a shambles, why would you think somebody wants to come and take that on? It just doesn't make any sense. But there's a lot of women out there that do think that. Again, raise your frequency so you're more appealing to men and women above your level. If you want to have this high value person, can you see yourself of being of value? Can you please like uplift your own damn self first? And then I guarantee you, people will look at you and see you as somebody they want to be with. Because I know that, I'm a single parent and I pretty much manage my life pretty well. So I wouldn't want to be with a guy that's like beneath what I'm doing already. That's like stupid to me. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And one in my notes is get on their level. Nobody's coming down to you. So if you want this high value person, like I said, you got to get up on the frequency with them. They're not going to come down to you in your house with 4 kids with different babies' father that's not clean, and you got, saying, yeah, you got dishes in your sink and you can't cook. What do they need you for? They have all these other options. It's just the reality of life. You know what I'm saying? Your child must trust you and your choices. So I feel like your child's going to cause you problems in your relationship if they don't trust you and they're getting bad vibes off of the people that you have around them. You have to have discernment when you pick people to be around your kids. Everybody don't got to be around your kids. Why do girls feel like any man they get with, they have to accept their kids? No, let them just be there for you. You go visit him. You see him when you see him. You see him when your child's not there. It don't have to be all that. You know what I mean? Maybe it could grow into that, but you're expecting so much from the person like on day one. I just don't understand that mentality. I really don't. Another thing that get on my nerves too in dating, and I'm a single parent, I don't want to hear about your ex, and I don't give a shit about nothing that y'all going through. I really don't want to hear that. I have my own problems, you know what I'm saying? And I really just don't think that is necessary in a relationship to hear all of that. You know what I mean? Like, get over your ex and all of the drama that you had with your baby's father or your baby's mother before you try to bring somebody else into the picture. And like I said earlier, a man to me that doesn't prioritize their kids is just off. Is disgraceful to me because I prioritize my child. So I will look down on you if I see that you're like always trying to be at my house. Like, don't you have kids somewhere that you need to go be with or whatever? Like, that bothers me. Like, I don't really like that. I respect the man. I had one boyfriend who used to get his daughter every weekend without fail. Like, I really admired that. I knew that I wouldn't see him on a weekend unless we all doing something together with the kids. But I respected that because, he's prioritizing his child just as I would. So I respect that. You know what I mean? Even if you make it where it's just, 1 weekend a month that you all get together and do something with the kids. And then maybe you might have a night out on one of those weekends that, you do something together. You figure out a way to balance it. Because I don't want to be with your kids every weekend either, because I be wanting to do stuff alone with my kid. What else? And again, I talked about single mother syndrome of where, the mothers want to bring their kids everywhere and like they don't, if you go out to dinner with the guy, he got to take your kids too. Why you got to do all that? You can't get a babysitter and go spend the time with the gentleman and just, have a meal with him. And it got to be, it can't always be about your kids when you're dating somebody because they're not their kids. You understand? Make it more about yourself and relationship with that person and see where it grows into. Y'all act so thirsty and so desperate for help all the time that nobody really wants to take that on. And this is another thing I see that's so fierce. But I got to say it, and I'm going to sound like Kevin Samuels. But keep yourself together, okay? Look, I am not, a supermodel or no shit like that, but I refuse to get like super sloppy fat. I refuse to like not like pull my shit together. I don't care if I'm going to the supermarket, like I will tie my hair up, put a little lip gloss on, whatever. Like, keep it together. Don't fall off completely and look like raggedy and think that you're going to get this high power person, because 9 times out of 10 I'll tell you, high power men that I know, they work a lot. They all go to the gym because that helps with stress and everything of trying to run shit and be a boss or something. It's a lot of stress, could cause anxiety. I know that a lot of them do work out and they're pretty fit. So what they want you for, eating McDonald's all the time and you're 300 pounds and looking sloppy, that is just a reality of life. Keep it together. Don't let yourself go. And that all comes from not taking time for self-care. And it comes from, depression and things like that. You gotta keep it together. You know what I mean? And it's so true, because like women say that the women that might be fat and out of shape will say, well, I don't want no guy that looks like this and that. You understand? I know I don't want no, this is going to sound racist, fat shaming, whatever, but I just don't like a real overweight person because I'm very active. I want my son to be very active, and I don't want to just be sitting around eating with somebody all the time. You know what I mean? I want somebody that's active and, full of life, and we can do things together. So it's not really fat shaming. It's just that certain people are not going to have the vitality that, that I would enjoy. I might meet a guy that's real heavy that has that, but a lot of times it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? So I look at men too. Men can be overweight, but they want this drop dead bombshell of a girlfriend. No, you have to do the work too. You don't want no ugly, sloppy, fat girl, and the woman don't want no ugly, sloppy, fat man. Like I feel like men, whether you're a man or woman, you just want somebody that's going to be strong, can take, can support you. And, you could go out and do the things you enjoy. Like, I like to be very active. I like to go camping. I like to ride my bike. I like to walk and all. You know what I'm saying? My son likes martial arts, basketball and stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't be with somebody that can't do all that. If you're heavy and you could do all that, we good. But if you're not, it's going to be a problem. And now this is another thing. I had made a whole video about, mental health in the Black community, but get your mental health together, because if you're a crazy ass bitch that be cursing a man out, and you ambassador depression back and forth, and you smoking a ton of weed, and you on all kinds of shit, Adderalls and all kind of whatever you be on, you might want to get that together first before you try to start dating, because I guarantee you people are going to pick up on those vibes that you're unstable, and they're not going to want to be bothered. It's so easy right away to show somebody that is dependent on drugs and stuff like that. So that's why I stopped smoking weed too, because I don't want to be dependent. I want to be in my right mind at all times. I want to be thinking for myself at all times, and I don't want to be on any mood enhancing thing or whatever, because what if you can't get it? Then you're going to be a completely different person than what this person signed up for, and that's going to be a problem. And I feel like if you're on something like, and like I see it, this doesn't make sense. I see it all the time. Women say that they want this dream man, but you're not a dream. You're annoying. You're messy. You like to argue. You can't cook. Your kids are crazy. You know what I'm saying? You have all these things. You have mental health issues. You're on drugs, whatever. You have all of these things, but then you expect somebody to not be that. You're going to attract what you are. That's what I had to learn. Trust me, I kissed a few frogs, and I had some messed up relationships because I had to work on myself. You know what I'm saying? And once you work on yourself more, you're not going to be so prone to just settling for anything, and you're going to know that you need to raise your frequency, and you know that you need work to do to get to where you need to be in life. That's it. So again, I was up on here for a long fucking time, and then I had technical difficulties, but I like to finish these videos because even though it conks out on me, I put it back on and I finish it because the information is there, because I don't like to go backwards. I like to move forward. So when the next time I come on here, I'm not going to be talking about, what I missed in this. So all the information that I wanted to give you, I stated it and it's in here. And again, if you have any questions or I can help you in any way, feel free to inbox me, like, share, and subscribe. Like I told you, I'm about to go to the gym right now with my son. We about to go, do some cardio, go sit in the hot tubs and steam room, whatever, maybe play a little racquetball or whatever. So if I have a man, he got to be able to do this with me. Because, I'm not trying to just be getting fat, sitting around, watching movies with somebody eat McDonald's. I don't like that. You understand? And none of y'all should like that. Keep your shit together. Nobody's saying that you got to look like you did when you were 20 years old, but at least be some little picture of health, showing. It's like by how your outward appearance is, it shows what's happening on the inside. If you're like extremely overweight and stuff like that, it does show that you don't have like discipline and things like that. And I don't always have discipline. I'm sure I could be more fit than what I am right now, but I am trying, and I'm not letting it fall apart completely. So, you know what I mean? So those are all things that could be helpful to y'all. So yeah, watch this video, share it with somebody that you think could benefit from it. And again, just because you're a single parent, it doesn't have to be a struggle and a strain and be, a depressing thing for your life to where you want to kill yourself, like that young lady that kind of sent me on this path of this, and again, you know me now, so I'm a part of your support system. So again, like, share, and subscribe to these channels, comment, whatever you got to do to make it more people will watch it. That's about it. Okay, so y'all, I'm going now. My son, I think he's falling asleep now. And I wanted to get this live done so we can have the rest of the day together to go to the gym and go grocery shopping and come home and cook a nice meal and stuff and just spend time together. Your kids are off of school this week. Do something nice with your kids. Spend the time with your kids while you got it. Make sure they understand their work in school. We do a little bit of schoolwork too when he's on breaks and stuff. So I know that he's learning what is important in life. I don't really pressure him with school too much, but I do like to make sure that he knows what is important, the things that is important to him to survive in the world. That's important. Those are the things that we work on. Okay, so this looks like it's going to start glitching again. So I'm going to go now. I love y'all. Thanks for watching. If you sat through this whole hour and a half of me talking, I appreciate you. And I'm out of here, y'all. Bye-bye.